I was thinking about the relationship between beauty and knowledge, and the thought that they're connected and you don't have one without the other. So when you think of something beautiful, I'll use an example of some art in the gallery. If you don't take the time to figure out what the use of the colour and the symbols and the communication between characters, then it's like eating something without taste buds. It's not the... You have the nice aesthetic of the art, but you don't understand it. And so these two have a very synonymous kind of relationship, and that means kind of you can only get beauty if you know about it. But then there's arguments against it, like if I feel like you don't look at a tree and you don't appreciate the tree because of its name and its origin and its shape of its leaf. You don't have to know that, you just like it. So you like, but then there's the other side of it of like I thought of the example of like why do you buy something? Well, you buy it because you know of the brand, or at least a lot of people do. There'll be a certain percentage that don't, but I just like it for the aesthetic value. So is beauty without knowledge still beauty? Yeah, I'll let you think, and I'll let your thoughts, and then I'll add a bit more.
Two sides of the argument have come into my brain, and I can think of two examples for them. So if we take the perspective for a moment that we need some degree of knowledge to appreciate beauty, I can see that from a sporting perspective, because I'm going to, you know what I mean, that's a big pillar of my life. But take the game of wheelchair basketball. If you're my grandma and you're coming to watch and support me, which I love and appreciate and adore every single time she does, but she's not seeing beauty in the game. She's watching to see if the ball goes in the basket of my team, and then she knows when to clap and to cheer and to give me a hug at halftime and a hug after the game, right? And that's great. But when I watch a game of basketball, the more sort of knowledge I acquire about what it means to play good basketball, I see a beauty in it. I see a beauty in the patterns of how players position themselves in different sets, and the amount of skill and mastery that it takes to do some of the things that I witnessed the best players in the world doing, because I know how many thousands of hours it takes to get to a skill level like that. So I need the knowledge of the game to see the beauty in it, right? But you can take another perspective and say there are certain things that are so beautiful because you know nothing about them. Take a sunset, for example, or the night sky. The reason, a part of the reason that these things are beautiful is because they're natural phenomena that we have very little ability to understand. They're so almost transcendental and divine, because you don't really know how a sunset is happening. You know, there'll be scientists that explain about the changes in wavelengths of light as a consequence of the angle of the sun or whatever bullshit, right? But when you're in that moment staring at it, it's so beautiful because you know that you couldn't have created it yourself. It's not man-made. It's some natural, complex phenomena that our ancestors have found beautiful and found meaning in for thousands of years, right? So there's two sides to it. Maybe the kind of linking concept between those two that's just popped into my brain is that maybe man-made things, like a game of basketball, you need to have an understanding of to see the beauty in it and see the mastery in it. But maybe the natural world is where you don't need knowledge to appreciate beauty. But it's interesting.
Yeah, I think an example where that is man-made, that you can just see it's beautiful, is like a Beethoven song, where it just hits you and you automatically associate it with like a swan and a ballet lady dancing, and like some things are just, but that's like beyond like humanity to create a piece like a piece like Beethoven. So I think that beauty with knowledge creates meaning. It's like, for a kind of back to the marketing point, when you know what's behind what you're buying. It's a meaningful purchase, or you might just kind of snatch something because it looks nice. But some things are so beautiful that they don't need knowledge, like you said with the night sky, like the sunset. Although maybe there's an argument of, well, when you look in the night sky, because of the existential importance it puts you in the world, and you kind of know that from it being like a mirror, then that kind of is the knowledge behind it. So
you're saying in that look at the night sky allows you to know and understand how small you are, and that's part of the beauty, is that sort of existential deep breath or fear, depending on the way you think about it.
Yeah. And one thing on top of this as well, a side point is, I read a Nietzsche line today that said, one no longer loves one's knowledge sufficiently after one has communicated it. So once the transference of knowledge from that painting, you understand it, it doesn't hit the same for the second time round. And I think the first experience where you're being is always the best one because of that, where you've consumed the knowledge and then it's time of you've taken it. And I think that's the reason why the Mona Lisa is so famous, is because people still can't figure it out. The knowledge hasn't been taken, and it's why mystery is so important and so attractive. It's what's so attractive in relationships, and that's kind of a part of beauty, that a part of the knowledge, and that's the part of knowledge that is continuous. And yeah,
I think as humans we have a real love for discovery of the unknown, and creativity is that pattern manifested in just like whatever thing you're doing, whether that's painting or writing or composing music or whatever it is, you're playing a sports game or whatever. Like, the creativity is the discovery of new ways of thinking, new ways of acting, new ways of creating, and new images to display and new sounds to put together. It's that putting together of two unconnected things and connecting them, taking that unknown and bringing it into the known, and that's the process we get so much joy from. But then when the thing is known, when the painting's done, then that's where that knowledge has been left hemisphered, let's say. It's been decontextualized and put out into the world, and it's now its separate object thing. It's not that. It's no longer the process of discovery. It's now known territory, and so it doesn't give us so much joy.